And we're back for another Shadow Era A to Z series video. In this video, right after Boris, we are into Darkclaw. On my last video, I mentioned at the end, Boris is in my top 2 of the meta right now. And believe it or not, Darkclaw I have in the top 5. Darkclaw is so much better now with the buffs. You saw 2 cards I had on this thumbnail. We had Woven Prophet and Spike Shield. And those cards feel really good in this Darkclaw deck. Let's hop in and I can show you guys what it's all about. So here is our Darkclaw deck. Ooh, I like how this looks. 40 card deck, you guys. It is a weapon hero. You want to keep those decks consistent. We have 14 allies in this deck. 16 if you count the total, but 14 allies here listed. 4 Blood Pack Shaman, 4 Woven Prophet, that's right, 4 of them. 4 Woven Tinkers, and 2 Crusher of the Week. Every single one of these allies feels great to play on the board. They all feel great. Next, for abilities, we have 2 Midnight Howls, 2 Now You're Mine, 1 Sacrificial Lamb, 4 Blood Moon, 2 Captured Prey, and 4 Speed Strikes. That's right. 4 Speed Strikes and 4 Woven Prophets. That's what we like. Next for items, we have 2 Dreadclaw Totems. Again, it can count as an ally for the most part. Sometimes it doesn't get triggered if they don't kill your allies, but it's an ally. Come on, guys. And then we have 4 Jeweler's Dream, 2 Spiked Shields, and 2 Lythian Sledgehammers. So let's talk about the deck, you guys. So Blood Woven Prophet was buffed. Originally, it would not pull an attachment if you already had an attachment attached to your hero, such as Speed Strike. So if you were running Prophet in your deck before with Darkclaw, you may have had 2 of them, because if you already had Speed Strike attached, it was a worthless card. Now, it is not a worthless card. That's why we have 4 of them in the deck. So we have 4 Prophets in the deck and 4 Speed Strikes in the deck. So that's 8 tries to get that Speed Strike early. Now, let's say you actually get a Speed Strike early, like an opening hand. At this point now, Woven Prophet is not useless. So we have 2 Midnight Howls and 2 Captured Preys. That's 4 more attachments. 4 more attachments. That hand is easier to pull from for Prophet. So that gives us a even spread of Now You're Mine and Captured Prey for board control abilities. Capture Prey being something that you can pull. Midnight Howl. This thing feels good to play on Shaman, on Tinker, and on Crusher. So you can draw Crusher, exile 1 ally, kill another ally, goes right back to your hand to have some fun again for another exile. You can drop it on Blood Pack Shaman, pull a Tinker out of your deck, like out of your graveyard. Say it's later in the game, you have like 3 Tinkers in there. Shaman can pull 1, haste it, 3 attack haste, drop the Tinker to get durability back to your hand, and Shaman goes back to your hand to pull another Tinker, or pulling more Crushers back. Again, Midnight Howls feels so good. Same thing with Tinker. If you just want to keep pumping that durability up, drop Tinker on the field. It's also, again, a good board control ability is Midnight Howl, because a lot of these, you can't really play it on Prophet. You don't really want to play Midnight Howl on there. Again, that's why there's only 2 Midnight Howls in this deck. 2, that hand. That's why there's only 2, because there's only 10 allies that really benefit from it. So Tinker you can drop on. Get 2 durability, haste attack for 3, goes back to your hand, get durability again. Feels good there. So again, feels good on 10 of those allies, so we have 2 Howls. So 2 Now You're Mine, 4 Blood Moons, and 2 Dreadclaw Totems. That's 8 turn 2 cards that you can play that don't involve playing Shaman on turn 2. A lot of the times you may sacrifice 1 Shaman early and cut it down to, and then you have 3 in the deck, just like I did in my Bloodfang video. That's why I roll 4. Some decks roll 3, and they push the envelope on it. I just play it safe, put 4 Shamans in the deck. Keep those options open for you. Keep the consistency open for you. So that's 8 options you can do. Now You're Mine if you're going second. If you're going first, you can drop that Totem. You can drop that Blood Moon. You can even drop Blood Moon going second. Not a terribly big deal. Actually, you have... What am I talking about? You have Prophet, too. You have Prophet for turn 2. If you have Speed Strike in your hand, then you don't need to play Prophet turn 2. You can drop your Blood Moon, get your draw going, play Speed Strike on turn 3. If you do not have Speed Strike in your hand, then you want to play that Prophet on turn 2 if your resources are the same as your opponent's or less. Otherwise, so if you're going first and you don't have that Speed Strike, just drop that Blood Moon on turn 2. You can skip a sack the next turn, then play that Prophet, grab that Speed Strike if you don't have it yet. So watch out for that. Now Speed Strike will just go to the top of your deck, but we're trying to play for maximum draw here. If you want to play that max value, then you want to wait for that Prophet. So think about when you're playing it. Sacrificial Lamb goes really well with that Tinker. You can get it right into your board, especially if you have a Blood Pack Shaman in hand. And especially if you have Dreadclaw Totem on the board. So you can play that Tinker, if it's on the board, you can sack Lamb it, draw 4 cards, 3 plus 1 from the Tinker's ability. That's 4 cards to your hand. You can play Shaman, pull it right back to your hand, and you should have a Dreadclaw Totem on the board too. If you sacked that Tinker with the Dreadclaw on board. Again, we talked about Capture Prey already. Speed Strike is a no-brainer. If you're playing against a Priest or a Warrior, you probably don't want to sack all of your extra Speed Strikes because a Spectral Saber or Mass Purification is going to get rid of it. Some decks are rolling with extra attachment hate now too because of Warriors, which means your Speed Strike is going to be a target. But luckily you have 4 Woven Prophets to pull another one back. Congratulations. Oh, I love that change. All right, so let's talk about our weapons. We have 4 Jeweler's Dream, 2 Sledgehammers. That was the standard before. Spike Shield. Again, Darkclaw is not a hero if you don't have Speed Strike and a weapon. So Spike Shield is both an armor and a weapon. If you already have a weapon on board, drop Spike Shield. Your weapons now have +1 attack, and you have that extra armor to soak up some damage. So now Jeweler's Dream is a 2 attack weapon, right? With your ability, it's a 4 attack weapon. With Sledgehammer, it's 3 and 6. Just really nice armor there. And if you happen to have not pulled a weapon from your deck, now it's a 4-cost 2/3 weapon. So that replaces Spectral Saber, which some Darkclaw decks would use as a 2/2 weapon. Now you have a 2/3 weapon in the form of Spike Shield. Just a very good item to have. So that's 8 weapons in the deck, 8 ways of getting Speed Strike. It's just an incredibly efficient deck. Okay, you guys? That's why I have it in my top 5 right now. So much fun to play too. So much fun. Alright, so let's talk about the matchups. Let's go back. And Darkclaw hits pretty fast. The one thing with Darkclaw, though, it requires setup. Requires playing that Prophet on turn 2, right? Speed Strike on turn 3. Weapon on turn 4. So that's basically 4 turns that you just took to set up your deck. If you're playing a Rush Mage, for example, or an Elementalis, or again, Humonk Reika, these decks are very quick early on. They've probably already chunked your health pretty good by that turn 4. So you got to be careful about that. So Darkclaw is a mid to late hero because of that early setup time. So any deck that plays in that early game is going to give you a hard time. Like a Rush Mage is going to get all that damage off on you early. They're going to spam spells for the rest of the game. So a lot of the times you're going to lose those Mage matchups, those Rush Mage matchups. Irem Lost does, I would say, is about 60-40 in Lost's favor. I would say that. Because he deals that Irem lets him pull off a lot of spells really quickly. Especially if he gets Isadora set up on board. That can be an issue. So I would say that's maybe 55-45. Maybe 55-45. So I would say that does play pretty good into Boris and Victor. Victor can wear down your weapons pretty good because of Weevil. Victor will be harder than Boris because you handle Boris's allies pretty good, but Victor tends to roll quite a number of fatties, and those can be an issue. And again, you take time to come online. You're more of a mid-range deck. Victor is more of a late-game deck. So Victor's going to give you problems. And Boris is in that mid-range, and so are you. That's why. And Boris has a couple of smashing blows, right? But you have 8 weapons. So your matchup against Boris is going to be better than your matchup against Victor. Let's see what else. Zana, let's see. 1 mass purification, right? But you have 4 speed strikes. That shouldn't be an issue. 4 focus prayers, but you have 8 weapons. So for the most part, you actually do beat those Zana decks. Any other matchups of note? Not really. I think we went over it. I think we went over it. Yeah, probably. So that's what I would say, is that you do take setup time. If it takes a bit to set up, then those early game decks are going to hurt. If you have a strong setup early on, and they're just slightly off of their ideal setup, then you will beat those early game decks. Because mid-range do generally play well into early game decks. You know, late greater than mid, greater than early, greater than late. Now that little cycle, that's generally how it goes for these decks. But if you're off in that setup time at all and they have an ideal start, then you're going to lose that game. If you have a strong start and they're off of their preferred early game start at all, you're going to win that game. That's how it goes. You know pretty early what's going to happen. So that's what I would say for Darkclaw, guys. Definitely play it. Do not write it off. One thing I forgot to mention. Good thing you guys caught me there. You have no weapon tech in this deck. But why is that okay? Your ability gives you ambush. So when you're attacking into a hero with a weapon, you're not taking any retaliation damage, right? But if they attack into you, they are taking retaliation damage. So you actually have that edge against weapon decks. And that's why it doesn't feel bad not having weapon tech in Darkclaw decks. Food for thought. Thank you for showing up. See you next time.